So let's talk a little bit about the very first experience, the gatekeeper experience that pushed me out of Motu and kept me out of it for years. The reason we're going to talk about it is because I finally got the figures, or close to the figures, that almost got me into this so long ago. So in 2013, they launched a set of figures crafted by the Four Horsemen, which were supposed to be, that were classics, the classics version figures. And they were huge. No exaggeration, they were awesome figures. I've seen some of them, I want some of them, but they're expensive. Their price point is outrageous. So the chances that you'll find them either boxed or unboxed and in good enough condition that you'll want to spend $100+ on a single figure is rough. And yes, they can cost that, if not past $200. But back when these were out, I'd heard about them. And I wanted them, kind of. But I went looking for them online. And I didn't find them, but I found customs of the 2000X series, where a person was taking those toys and kind of bringing them back to being as close to the originals as possible. He was a toy customizer, a person who customizes their toys, who was taking this idea and making the figures he wanted, and then he was selling those figures as he made them. So he was selling a classic He-Man and classic Skeletor that he had customized, and I found them both, and they were pretty expensive, almost $50 a figure. But I was like, that's still cool, I think I still want that. I put them both in my cart. And not quite understanding exactly what it was that I was buying, I thought that since this guy was doing that, that's what this was. This was the classics that I'd been hearing about. I didn't realize that I was buying necessarily from a single guy, just a single guy that customized toys. I wouldn't realize that till later. And then by that point in time, it wouldn't matter anyway. But what I found, I posted on my messenger and I said, guys, this is really cool. I think I want this. And people started saying, oh, that's from the new 2000, that's from that 2003 He-Man show. And I said, no, these are a new thing they're doing, classics, where they're going to be remaking as close to the original, but kind of modernizing. And I was wrong about what I was showing off. But I was also right. I was right that classics was a thing. And I was right that this was actually something that was being done. And I was right that I had found custom figures that were trying to date back to that concept. And all these things that I was right about, the only thing I was wrong about was the base. The base of this toy was very much the 2003 series. And I didn't realize that. I didn't realize that I was looking at a custom job. Had I realized that, it may have changed my mind a little bit about what it was that I was getting. But all in all, I still kind of wanted it. And I put it in my cart. And then came the gatekeeping. There was a guy who liked these much more than me, or liked He-Man at the time much more than me. I would tell you that by this point in time, I actually know more about it than he does. But that's regardless of the fact. These are kind of the figures that I wanted back then. I got both of them. I got He-Man, and he looks really cool. His articulation could be better. I feel like his hands and whatnot are basically the only thing that move, and he can kind of move up, and he's got decent little separation and whatnot, and he can walk, and he's got a lot of articulation. He's got a lot of deco, not articulation. He's got a lot of deco. It is solid deco. He looks fantastic. Like, he looks really cool. I could see myself, if I'd have been into He-Man toys, if I'd have been playing this kind of thing back then, I probably would have been really into this. The more I look at it, the more I think I probably would have been really into this. But he's not the only one. I also picked up the Skeletor from the same thing. To finish that story, I talked to this guy for a couple of days. Literally, 2 full days. And I kept saying, I know it's not exactly the same thing. It's not meant to be. It's meant to be this, and blah, 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 and that's what it's supposed to be, and I don't see what the problem is. I think this is really cool. I don't see what your issue is, and things of that nature, and I just got tired of fighting. I just got tired of fighting about it. But then, sometime later, I got so tired of fighting about it that I literally decided I didn't want them. The extent of battle with a gatekeeper had run its course so extreme that I no longer wanted them, even if I could get them. That's extreme. Look at that. He's got an action feature. Wow, 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 wow. That's kind of cool. That's cool for its time. There we go. Get him where I want him here. And then this, I'm guessing this hand holds the staff. And now he's cool. Now he's cool. He's got a cool Havoc staff. He's got his armor. He's complete. He looks cool. Like, this dude is sick. This dude is completely sick. He's completely awesome. This was it. Had I bought those 2 figures that day, had I bought not necessarily these 2 figures, but these 2 figures, customized figures of these 2 guys, that would have been it. I would have been in back then. No doubt in my mind. I would have been on board from that point on. As you can tell, ever since I bought the first one of these, ever since I opened the floodgates, I've been infinitely interested in what this property is and what it can do and the imagination it can bring. I can look at these figures, and I'm telling you right now that if I just took them downstairs, took them into the garage, sat down with the guys, and put a couple of them in front of them and said, I'm going to use these characters to craft a D&D tonight. I could do it. I could do it like that. And I don't have to steal a bunch of He-Man stuff to do it. That's what they are. Every single one of the Masters of the Universe figures are a gateway into the imagination. A literal gateway into the imagination. They are fantastic figures. And I just couldn't pass these 2 by when I seen them. I remember I fought with him for, like I said, 2 full days. And finally I got so tired of fighting that I took them out of the cart. I had them in the cart. They were ready. I took them out of the cart and I just decided I don't like He-Man. I don't like He-Man. I hate everything Masters of the Universe. I hope the property dies. I'd just rather, if it's filled with fans like that, I don't want anything to do with it. And man, was I wrong. I was so wrong. Because since I got into this, since I became a part of this community, and since I started sharing videos and talking to people and showing off my collection, I have had nothing but fantastic interaction with fans. This has been one of the greatest fandom experiences that I have ever had. I'm going to say ever. Because for years now, I've been dealing with a lot of drama inside of fandom, and it just doesn't seem to be as prominent in Masters. It makes me truly, truly love everything that I've put together here so much. Because it's just, It's the appreciation of what I've put together and what other people put together. And that's another thing too. There's a weirdness to getting in here where I don't have the envy that I've had with other lines. I see things and I'm like, that is really cool. But I don't think about how I couldn't afford something like that. It's true that I can't. But it doesn't bother me the way that it would with other collections. And it's just something that's kind of mind-boggling to me. I found a fandom that I did not mean to stumble across. One that I've been involved with indirectly for years upon years upon years. I'll put that little card thing up there. You can check it out. You can see what I'm talking about. Years ago, I got into something that was very close to this, that should have led me down the line of this stuff, and it never did. And now, I'm like enthralled. Everything I open is a new gateway into the imagination. Everything I check out is a new visual understanding of something, a new admiration for sculpting, design, imagination, cool stuff in general. These are fantastic figures. They're literally the best of the best. I don't know this for sure. Currently, these are the centerpiece of all the things I collect. It would be hard for me to look at this shelf and say for sure what my best collection, my favorite part is. There's things on this shelf that you would think are automatically in my top 5, and you'd be surprised to know that they're not. And maybe that's a video in its own right. The top 5 things that I have collected that I still have a high passion interest to collect. That's interesting. That's an interesting list in its own right, and maybe it's worth doing. But for right now, I just wanted to come in, say that I got these 2 figures, and I'm legit excited to put them on the shelf because I should have had these guys years ago. These guys should have kicked off this collection. And in all honesty, had those 2 guys been on my shelf, had I got them and put them on my shelf, I would probably have subscribed to Classics, and I would probably be sitting here today with the entire line. I honestly believe that, because this fandom has taken me by storm, and it has been well worth it. It has been fun, positive, awesome, imaginative. It's got me reinterested in writing and crafting D&D campaigns again. It's reinvigorated me when I come home at the end of the night and I just check out some figures and like I put them to the side and I do a video and I unbox something, and like it really has. It's reinvigorated my passion for collecting and why I did it in the first place. Years ago, when all of this stuff started, every single part of it was something that represented me and sparked my imagination, my creativity, and my desire for fandoms, for building universes, for writing, things of that nature. And now, I've literally found it again with this line. And that's what all this is. All of this relates to me in some way or another. It speaks to me. It says something about me, whether it be Star Wars, whether it be Star Trek, whether it be all the Wonder Woman shelf, whether it be the Gunpla, whether it be the Rangers on the shelf. All of these things feed back directly to me. Every item says something about me. That's the way my collection is. Which is the reason for the project. It's the reason for taking everything off the shelf, reevaluating, cleaning the shelves, putting everything back on and seeing what stays and what goes, because life changes. I have changed. And not all of this is bound to stay here. But this has kind of reawakened that passion. and it excites me to no end to see where it's going to go, what characters are going to come out, what other things I can get my hands on. This has been awesome, and it should have started all the way back with these figures, and it didn't. But I've got them now, and if nothing else, that speaks to a fundamental right there. These two figures going on the shelf is like righting a wrong of the past. And I'm more than happy to say that that wrong is righted. These figures are on the shelf, and they belong here. They deserve to be here. Later on.
I have spoken. Take what you will from it.